What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another video. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. We're still doing 3 videos a week right now, so we don't want you to miss out on any future videos. So today we are diving into a topic that was actually suggested by a member of the channel. So if you guys are interested in more Matt Becker fishing content, please check out our members only page. You know, we were actually on an exclusive live stream here last week, and one of the members suggested that we dive in and talk about the topic we're talking about right here today. So if you're looking for more access, check out the members only page. But also, if you're looking for any other content, any video ideas, please drop those in the comments down below, and I will do my best to answer those questions for you. So we are talking about retrieves, and more specifically, we're going to dive into chatterbait retrieves. You know, how you retrieve any bait is really going to determine if you catch fish or if you don't catch fish. It's really, you know, very, very important when it comes to, you know, presenting your bait properly and triggering those fish into biting. So we're going to dive in to chatterbait retrieves, and hopefully we can help you guys catch a few more bass when you're out there throwing a chatterbait. All right, guys, so like I said, you know, the retrieve of whatever technique you may be throwing is extremely important in triggering those fish that, you know, maybe not aggressively feeding, but you're still trying to get a reaction bite or trigger that fish into biting your bait. You know, there's definitely times where you can say, take a chatterbait, cast it out there, just straight retrieve back, and it's gonna catch fish. That's what makes a chatterbait such an excellent bait, is you don't really have to impart a whole lot of action into it. You could cast it and wind it, and it's gonna catch fish just fine. But when you really get into the weeds and really start, you know, getting dialed in on your presentation, there is a lot of different things you can do to trigger some extra bites and catch a lot more fish whenever you're throwing a chatterbait like this. So we're gonna dive into a few of my favorite retrieves and kind of, you know, give up some juice. Honestly, we're giving up some serious juice right here, but hopefully it will help you guys out on the water. So, you know, number one tip on a retrieve of a chatterbait is to make sure that you're stopping and starting your reel. I rarely do I ever just cast and retrieve at the exact same speed. I am constantly stopping, maybe speeding up, pausing, all those different things while I'm retrieving that bait. You know, popping my rod as I'm, you know, reeling faster, reeling slower. I'm always trying to change things, because what that's doing is that's allowing this bait to dance and dart, kind of create something, you know, a little bit different. It's going to flash. It's going to, you know, kind of hunt a little bit and veer off to the side, slow down, speed up, all those different things. If a fish is tracking that bait and he sees something happen that's a little bit different, a lot of times that's all it takes to trigger a fish into biting. So, you know, varying your retrieve, making sure you stop, start, speed up, slow down, all those different things are extremely important in the retrieve of a chatterbait. So next up is going to be, you know, really slowing down. So there's certain times where I really want to slow down and almost crawl this bait, whether it's along the bottom or on top of the grass. So, you know, when the water's, say, below 55 degrees, especially in the spring, you know, if it's below 55 in the fall, they seem to be a little more aggressive than, say, 55 in the below 55 in the spring, because it's been cold for so long. Whereas in the fall, you know, it's been warm and it's just finally cooling down. So I feel like they're still a little more aggressive in the fall rather than the spring. But below 55 early spring, you know, late winter, early spring, you're getting out some of the first times of the year. You know, I like to take a chatterbait and I will really just crawl this bait along the bottom. You know, if you're fishing, you know, hard bottom, rock, something like that, you can bounce it around in the rocks. But if you're fishing on top of grass, I really like to just slow down that retrieve and just have it just barely ticking the top of that grass. If you get hung up in the grass, that's when you're gonna give your rod tip a snap, pick up your slack real quick, and then just get back to just real slow retrieve. Just allow that bait to just be wandering around just on top of the grass, because those fish are kind of be hunkered down, you know, with that cooler water. They're not gonna be as aggressive, so you wanna really slow down your retrieve in the cooler water. And you know, the opposite side of that is going to be in the summer and your warmer weather. Man, sometimes you want to burn that bait as fast as you can and really get it going. So that is you know, a couple options for, you know, speed as far as your retrieve. Now you know, as far as a chatterbait, there's really only one other way that I really like fishing it, and it's going to apply to more of your heavier options. So the half is kind of on the light side of this retrieve. I would lean more towards the 3/4 or even the 1 ounce, 1.25 ounce weight chatterbait. And that's gonna be more of a hopping style retrieve. So when I'm throwing this is gonna be more, you know, kind of on shallower offshore places. This is typically, you know, around the shad spawn. You know, a scenario that comes to mind would be, say, fishing a kind of a shallow river bar or ledge on the Tennessee River, you know, throwing a 3/4 ounce chatterbait, letting it fall to the bottom, and then just kind of hopping him up and down, and just allowing him to flutter up and then just kind of glide back down. I've had some really good days doing that and fishing him almost like a yo-yo style you would with a rattle trap, but throwing a chatterbait in that situation really catches some fish. So that's a few different retrieve options you can try with your chatterbait that will definitely help you catch some more fish. Now the main thing, the number one key in all of this is going to be paying attention to the fish. Allow the fish to tell you what they want that day. Now, you know, the number one mistake that I see anglers make is they don't change up their retrieve. They stick with the same old retrieve that they always use or always have, or, you know, they stick with one thing and don't change throughout the day and allow the fish to tell you what you want. You know, the fish will definitely tell you what they want throughout the day. So if you vary your retrieve, you know, try it a little slower, try it a little faster, and those fish will bite, you know, when you get that retrieve just right. And you got to be paying attention. You got to be on your game. You got to be thinking. You got to be really paying attention to what that bait's doing, what your retrieve is. You know, you don't want to be looking around, you know, hanging out, all that fun stuff. You want to be really dialed in, paying attention to what you're actually doing with your rod and reel. And when you get that bite, if you remember that, you can do it again and duplicate that. And a lot of times you will catch more and more fish and really dial in what those fish want per day. So hopefully you guys learned something from this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Like I said, if you got any other video ideas, please make sure to drop them in the comments down below. We're gonna have more videos like this on other techniques, you know, more retrieve videos on how I like to retrieve and retrieve tips on other techniques. But for now, appreciate you guys tuning in. Leave me those likes and comments down below, and we'll see you guys next time.